Thanks for joining us for our comic book coffee break. I'm Nick Gunning.
I'm Eric Mickles. Known online as Dust vs. Tweak.
Hot today. I'm drinking Melita's just regular blend coffee here, and it's piping hot, and it's got a little bit of cinnamon syrup in it. What do you think about that? You like cinnamon?
Yeah, I do. Thanks for the question.
Okay. Well,
back at you.
I recommend it. I do. Yeah, that's why I got it here. I used to get this special in the coffee shop back when we could go places that was like cinnamon and a little bit of vanilla, and they called it the French Kiss Latte. Pretty steamy stuff.
All right.
What about you? What are you
I'm
drinking today, buddy?
Root beer in a Batman mug.
Yeah. Oh, because today's Batman
and
Day.
Because they were selling mug, buy one, get two free. For two.
Really?
For the cans, yeah. And at that point, you're an idiot not to get two extra free cans. Like, no, thank you. I don't want your free root beer.
You have to.
Pass.
I know. Although sometimes when you're at a grocery store and it's like buy two get three free, I'm just like, slow down. I don't want to do that much math.
That changes my life.
What am I going to do with a flatbed truck full of strawberries? I can't eat them all.
It is Batman Day as we record this. If you're listening to this on a day that isn't September 19th, 2020, tough luck. Batman Day has come and gone.
It was
you
Batman
missed
Day.
it.
It was Batman Day.
You have to wait till Batman Day 2021. But we might not get a 2021. So this might have been the last chance to celebrate Batman Day.
It's possible, yeah.
Sorry.
You're right. If you're looking for more Batman content, Eric and I over on the All the Book Show just released a special interview with Shay Fontana of Batman Overdrive fame over on SoundCloud.com/allthebooks or anywhere you get your podcasts. It was a good time. Anyway, what about this show?
What about this show? Oh, yeah, this show has notes that I read from. This show is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. You can find more about the show and others like it on our network's website, radiomeanwhile.com.
Other shows on the network include Three Nice Things, where we force ourselves to say three nice things about a movie with a bad and often earned reputation. Let me tell you something, Eric. When we rewatched Batman and Robin and then recorded an episode about it, I was kind of in. I was a little bit in.
Things did a Batman and Robin episode. It was you, me, and my wife Kendra. And we were all weirdly positive about it.
Yeah, we were kind of like,
it might be the most positive podcast about Batman and Robin I've ever witnessed.
I would say, definitely. Radio 64, featuring video game music remix radio. I did recently listen to your Zelda episode while beating Link's Awakening on the Switch.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Take that, Wingfish.
It was fun, and I went back to the Super Nintendo, whatever that one's called.
Link to the
Checking
Past.
that out.
That is my all-time favorite video game of all time.
Wow. Well, I just started playing it today, and I'm all in.
Where it's all raining and everything. Oh, I love that rain.
We've also got Previously on X-Men, the podcast that looks back on X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. I was a single father for the better part of a day while Eric and Hillary recorded a 4-hour-long episode about X-Men, a freaking apocalypse.
It was 3.5 hours.
All I know is, start to finish, the door was closed for 4 hours.
There's a scene.
That's all I know.
There's a scene in X-Men Apocalypse where Xavier's being beaten up by Apocalypse in like the astral plane, and he's just like, "Jean, help me!" And after we were done recording, I'm like, "Is that Nick right now in the other room?" Like, Hillary, I can't do it.
I had breakfast and lunch while you were recording that episode. It's not an exaggeration.
I know you had to be a single father, but we had to talk about X-Men Apocalypse for 3.5 hours.
No, I was glad to do my part. It's no problem. We also have 902 and Here We Go, a 90210 rewatch podcast hosted by a 90210 expert and a 9021 novice.
So Kendra on the podcast is the expert?
Yes.
And you're the novice
who's
never seen 90210 or Melrose Place?
No. Kendra's seeing them for the first time. I've been watching them since the early 90s. We're into season 3 now. We're getting up to some pretty iconic stuff. Our most recent episode covered Senior Prom, so look for that on Thursday. Finally, we've got 90s Music Got Me Like, where we take a look back at one kickin' 90s track each week. Also, a Batman special coming up. Eric, tell us about it.
Yeah, we're going to be covering Kiss from a Rose. So, we just did an episode on Waterfalls by TLC, and now we're doing Kiss from a Rose by that. And after Kiss from a Rose by Seal, we're tackling MMMBop by Hanson.
Yes.
So, thrilled by that. I'm not doing any more polls for the 90s music.
That's the last one for a while.
No. But Kiss from a Rose, that's exciting.
Eric, it is exciting. Let's talk comic books.
Okay.
My reading this week is really in 3 categories. And that is things I was finishing up, things I was reading for Batman
Right.
Day. And as we record, we're currently in the midst of Hispanic Heritage Bunch, so I was focusing on Hispanic characters and authors. So those are my three umbrellas for the stuff that I read. Uh,
Okay. No, that's
yeah,
just my
all right.
catchphrase this episode. I'm
I kind
trying
of
it
like
out.
it. It's not great, but it's
So he's
okay.
catching on.
I know it is already. Eric, I read The Eternals by Mr. Jack
Mm-hmm.
Kirby. The Eternals by Jack Kirby. Oh, hey, Batman, what's up? Oh, he's gone. Have you read The Eternals?
I read Neil Gaiman's Eternals.
Okay, how's that?
I liked it at the beginning, and then it got a little too
Okay.
conventional, of all things.
That's not what I expected you to
Yeah.
say at all. But it is kind of funny that you should say that because at this point, I've read a lot of weirdo Jack Kirby
Mm-hmm.
stuff. You know, Captain Victory is like just the cocaine fueled Star Trek ride. Um, Even the New God stuff, it's really hard to sort of distill what each of those is about. Whereas I feel like with Eternals, an archaeologist finds this thing that sort of opens up this new world, and you get the three different versions of like mankind. You have humans, you have the Eternals, and you have the
Mm-hmm.
deviants, like the
Right.
villains. And things proceed from there. So in some ways it's like the easiest Jack Kirby thing to follow because it's got a pretty clear format. Like you can follow what's going on. Whereas with like his Black Panther, it's like each episode you're like, why is Black Panther trying to chase a brass toad? I don't know. I still don't know. But the Eternals, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
decent. Volume one covers the first nine of 18
Yeah.
issues. So yeah, I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna
I
finish it.
think it's one of those series that's like unfinished as well in the
Oh
Jack
really?
Kirby lore. Isn't that this thing with like New Gods? Like it just kind of stops but doesn't end on his part.
Well, yes, yes. New Gods was canceled. A lot of the
Right.
stuff was canceled. But it eventually they went back and they finished it off, and it does actually
Right.
conclude probably 5 years
Yeah.
later. And there's a nice the library that I work at. We just got a nice hardcover, like omnibus of all
Mm-hmm.
the New God stuff. Putting out a lot of the Jack Kirby's in hardcover now, putting it all together in a way that makes sense. Because yeah, New Gods is a little difficult to
Right.
follow, but all in all, I think Eternals was decent. Of course, it looked
Mm-hmm.
great. I like the characters. Um, it's one of those ones too that I feel like, how can this possibly like jibe with Captain America just punching Red Skull in the face? Like it just doesn't seem like those could be the same world at all. But I guess we'll see. We'll ask Angelina Jolie what she
Yeah.
thinks and
Sure.
go
Yeah.
from there. So what about you? What have you been up to reading
I've
wise?
been reading Angelina Jolie's Cheekbones biography. Yeah,
Oh
the
wow.
biography of
Okay.
Angelina Jolie's
All right.
Cheekbones. They had
It's pretty
a
deep, I
really
hear.
rough life for a little bit. Then got things back together. Then kind of
Huh.
had to break things off after reconnecting with their estranged father,
Sure.
John
Uh huh.
Voight.
Yeah. John Voight. No, I know. I
Yeah.
got it. Yeah.
I have
Okay.
things that are tangential to Batman Day for a bit.
Awesome. Give me one.
So
Give
you
me
know I
one.
finished Jeff Lemire's Moon Knight.
I do.
So
Yeah.
this time I finished the Moon Knight series that like came after it. It kept going. It didn't really like become a new series. Though they
Okay.
went back to their legacy numbering with the second volume. So the last issue of this series is actually Moon Knight 200. It's one of those
Okay.
things where they like add up all the Moon Knight solo issues. So this was Max Bemis, and I believe the artist throughout was, I think it changed. There was Jason Burrows, Paul Davidson, Ty Templeton. So I say Batman tangential because obviously, you read Moon Knight, you're like, oh wait, Moon Knight is a Marvel Batman. So,
Yeah.
um, the thing is, this came after Jeff Lemire's run, and a lot of people
Right.
seem to talk about Jeff Lemire's run. Nobody seems to talk
They
about
like it.
Max Bemis's thing. And it's one of those things that's like,
Mhm.
yeah, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing is good.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about the issue after Alan Moore left. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
just like,
I do know.
what happened after Grant Morrison wrote New X-Men. Well, Chuck Austin took over, and that was a bad hat. But it's just one of those things where like people have a definitive run, and then you have to talk about the issue that came after that definitive run, and like, hey, this,
Mhm.
and especially when they're trying to like keep the momentum or style instead of just changing things up 100%, and it just feels watered down and like imitated. So,
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, that you to call back to Jack Kirby's Black Panther, same kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
happened. The collections usually include Kirby stuff, and then it goes on for a few more issues with somebody
Yeah.
else, and that person is tasked with sort of bringing the Kirby stuff into what was going on before, and it is kind of jarring. It's a little weird. So yeah, I know what you
This
mean.
run did not do it for me. The Max Bemis stuff
Oh,
did not do it for me
that's
at
too bad.
all. At the beginning, it
That's too
felt
bad.
very much like, oh, we liked what Jeff Lemire did. I'm going to keep doing that stuff. And it was weak. And then he went on of his own path, and I was like, I don't like this. There's a style that's been going on like during this time, and I think it's kind of inspired by Mark Waid's Daredevil. She-Hulk kind of did this style. A lot of like Marvel styles have this kind of sparse, big panels, almost like retro style, and they're a bit more colorful.
Okay.
They allow for a bit more like jokey expressions and stuff. Does not work with a character like Moon Knight, who
Mm.
just like him during the day being like, "What do you mean that banana peel's gonna trip me?" I said, "Oh, it did! I'm Moon Knight! Oh, my pants fell down! Boy, it's tough being a hero in New York City."
Oh, Moon
Yeah.
Knight, you
So
card.
he's now at the point where he's having conversations in general with his multiple personalities, and they're like taking over every now
Yeah.
and then to do stuff. Like if he needs money, he has his personality that's the business owner. If he needs to get street level information, the cab driver person. So like all this different stuff. But yeah, this Max Bemis' run was not great, and I didn't like the art at all. So it just kind of ended in a way I didn't care for. So yeah, not the kind of like I wouldn't take that like Mark Waid Daredevil style and bring it over to Moon Knight, but they did, and it didn't work. So
Wow. There you go.
yeah,
All right. I want to talk about a weird one now.
okay. I just talked about Moon Knight.
And that's
You
the super.
SOB.
No, I know, but this is very unusual. I've been reading like the Tiny Titans with my son, all that Franco
Yeah.
and Art Baltazar
Yeah.
stuff. That tonally is all pretty
I know
similar.
you cried at
and
Death of the Tiny Titans, where they
I
just
did,
killed them
yeah,
all off.
yep, I did. And what's so cool about it is always the deep cuts into DC lore that they managed to drop in there. There's a whole thing with Cassandra Cain in one of the ones I read. But I want to talk about Superman Family Adventures. Now, when this came out a few years back, I bought Volume 1 and read it and liked it, didn't love it, and it wasn't like, I'm definitely going to follow this series. Recently, when my son had kind of gone through all the Tiny Titans stuff, yeah, oh, hey, Batman, I was trying to find something else for him, and there's a Superpowers series stylized like the Superpowers action figure line, of which, I mean, if you want to talk action figures, I got a whole box. I got a whole box of Superpowers action figures.
Great. Show it off.
So I started reading Superpowers, which is just listed as Superpowers Volume 1. Okay. But it is crazy.
Okay.
Like inside the book, like Jor-El and Lara are there, like in modern day. They have a baby. There's this mystery Superman from the future. Brainiac and Superman are brothers. It's like just weird, like deep stuff that makes no sense. And I'm trying to figure out like, where is this coming from? What it actually is, even though Superpowers Volume 1 is listed just that way, it's actually Superman Family Adventures Volume 3.
Okay.
So I went back and read Volume 2, and then we read Superpowers. And what's really strange about it is that normally these are just kind of like goofy, fun little things. Superman Family Adventures and the transition into Superpowers is like a whole alternate like Superman mythos that really covers a lot of unusual things. So in Volume 2, he's able to like bring his mother out of the Phantom Zone, but his father is still just like appearing as the Crystal. As like the sort of Marlon Brando-esque Jor-El. He says they're good people, Kal-El. They wish to be. But
Zod, you come to me with this rebellion on the day of my daughter's wedding here on Krypton.
Yeah. And what happens ultimately is that we found out Lara's pregnant, and she was pregnant when she went into the Phantom Zone, and the baby comes out and has like a Brainiac technology coursing through it, and so they name him Prime L. And he sort of becomes an alternate version of Superman Prime, or Superboy Prime. And then there's also this Superman of the future who's all wrapped in bandages. And it just keeps getting weirder and weirder. And it's all in the pages of Superman Family Adventures and Superpowers.
And your son liked this?
He did like it. I mean, he was fine with it.
He wasn't like, Dad, this is tripping.
It was really trippy, though. And I'm just surprised that they chose to go that route. So I actually Like, while I felt like Superman Family Adventures was just kind of like, yeah, it was fine. I wouldn't be like run out and read it. I actually think reading these two volumes of Reading Superpowers, especially if you're a Superman fan, is worth it because it is just so unusual, especially given the style of the book it is. So, it's weird, but with that, I do recommend it to you because it's not what you expect. You get extra points for a cameo from my man Golden Pharaoh. Golden
Yeah.
Pharaoh, invented for the Superpowers line of action figures, didn't really appear in comics until the Super Friends or Superpowers comic strip, where he's like a minor character. He actually shows up in this Franco Art Baltazar
All right.
Superpowers series, and so
Your
that to
man.
me,
Yeah.
I mean, that
Yeah.
really, I was excited to see my boy Golden Pharaoh in
Sure.
there. So, all right, return to Egypt. What else you got?
More Batman tangential things. I
Okay,
have reread the first volume of The Question. This is like
okay,
36 issues.
like
Denny O'Neill's
Denny
The
O'Neill.
Question.
Okay.
It's six ish. It's
Oh.
36 issues, so it's collected in 6 volumes. I started this because I finished the series I was reading on the DC app, and I wanted to go back to this. And so I say tangential because Danny O'Neill, obviously did a lot of important stuff with Batman. And then
Yeah.
I think it's like 1986, 1987. He was tackling the question and kind of made him a mouthpiece a bit for
Okay.
some existential ideas, some political ideas, kind of like how he did with Green Arrow, Green Lantern. Except this is a lot more violent, a lot more zen. There's a lot of Frank Miller inspiration here with coming off like Frank Miller's Daredevil with the art styles. Who's
Yeah.
Rick Magyar? Oh wait, no, it's Dennis Cohen. The art is
Okay.
very much going for that '80s Daredevil vibe that Frank Miller did, and the writing also kind of comes across like Denny O'Neil was very inspired by Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. So this is
Okay.
very '80s, very very '80s in its style and everything. But it's cool. It's cool stuff. The Question's kind of a really trippy character. He's not all there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are weird characters and weird threats he's dealing with. At one point, he has to stop this deranged priest from blowing up. No, it's not even the priest. The deranged priest is something else. There's a mobster who's working for
Okay.
the priest, and they want to blow up a bus full of kindergartners. And so
Yeah.
the Question has to stop this gangster's very like wimpy, but also trying to prove that he's his dad's son from blowing up the thing. And the son's like, "No, Dad will love me." And so like you just beat.
Okay.
It's all over the place. But yeah, I like this
That's
stuff. So, but yeah, I decided to
some
start
weird
from the
stuff.
beginning. I had read the first 2 volumes. Gosh, at this point, like 8 years ago. But same thing when I
Okay.
started Suicide Squad. I just went back to the beginning so I could just get the full run.
Yeah.
Speaking of like the DC app, it's changing. It's DC Universe is becoming DC Universe Infinite, and it's going to be
Yeah.
basically a comics only app that still has the community features, community events, and setups
Yeah.
that I don't use. I don't know if you use that stuff at all. Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm fine with that, and I'm also kind of glad that it has its own separate name because DC Universe is the name of like the
Yeah, yeah,
RPG
the
that's out
MMO.
there, which has always been confusing trying to like search for that. But what I always wanted was just the comics. So the fact that they're going to be on there sooner and there's going to be digital exclusives
Yeah.
and things, I'm on board for that.
They're
I don't
moving
really
up
have any
their,
complaints about that.
Right now, Marvel Unlimited, it's the newest issues are 6 months behind, and
Yeah.
DC's has been a year behind, and now DC's changing
Yeah.
it up so that they're 6 months as well,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
all their video content is moving to HBO Max. So, but a lot of the stuff's
Okay.
been renewed, I believe. I think Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn have both been renewed for season 3.
I haven't really heard anything about Titans.
I don't
Have
know
you?
if it's been renewed. It was at season 3, but I think they're feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those.
I mean, I feel like I've seen some
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know. But I do know that like Stargirl, of course, just moved officially to
Yeah.
CW, and I don't think they're going to do anything more with Swamp
No,
Thing. I
probably
think
not.
that was a one and done situation.
Yeah. So.
But yeah,
and then
I'm
there's
fine with
an
it.
addition where you get like you can get HBO Max with your DC Infinite thing
Yeah.
for cheap. But yeah, as a comics only app, it's that's good news. I was worried they were just gonna junk it.
I've enjoyed Me too. I've enjoyed watching like the DC Nation shorts that they put out there because those have never really been collected any other
Mm-hmm.
way. I really enjoy the John Davey Shazam
Mm-hmm.
show, which is you can get it like a manufactured on demand DVD, but that's about the only way outside of the app. And the app actually they did a whole
Yeah.
big remaster
It
on it,
is.
and it
It's a
looks
bummer
great.
because like I watched. I have the Batman animated series on Blu-ray, but I just didn't feel like getting my disc, so I just watched it on
Hmm.
the app because it's also the remastered
Yeah,
version. And
yeah,
I watched one that had like Count Vertigo, but like it was done, and then before even sending me to the episode, it was like you might want to read this comic that it's based, and I
yeah.
that's cool. And
That's a
now
cool
that
feature.
won't be there, so
Yeah.
that's a bummer.
And some of the more obscure stuff, like the Superboy live action show that
Yeah.
was on when I was a kid. They did kind of a wide release of season
Mm-hmm.
one, but that's a different
Yeah.
cast. That's a different Clark and a
Yeah,
different
they said
Lex.
all the
And there
original
were,
material is going to HBO Max. I don't think I've seen anything about like everything else. They've got all this stuff is just so crazily licensed where like
it is,
Warner Brothers owns
yeah,
the Harry Potter movies, but now they're not on HBO Max because they had to go to Peacock or something because of licensing that was
yeah,
already prior. It's just like what is the
right.
point? Own
I
what
know.
that's the whole. I mean, that's
A
why
lot of
I
weird stuff.
own the things I actually care. Like, I don't have to worry who has Jurassic Park streaming rights. I've got it. I've always
Right.
got it.
Exactly. I know. I feel the same
So
way. Speaking of streaming, I didn't put this on the list, so I doubt you have a cover for it, just locked and loaded. But I did watch Superman Red
I don't
Sun,
have a thing for that. You but
and it was actually pretty decent. Jason Isaacs is Superman, and that was cool. I think the most jarring thing, though, is to have Diedrich Bader as Lex Luthor. I'm just so used to
yeah,
that
that's
as
a
a
bizarre
Batman
choice.
voice. And it's not like it's different. It's not really like he's doing a different
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's just so when he first shows up, they don't say Lex for a long time. And I was like, is this Bruce
Mm-hmm.
Wayne? What are we
What a weird
talking
choice.
about? But overall, I think it was pretty good. I actually really liked the score. I looked to see if that was
Mm-hmm.
available anywhere because it was this sort of moody, not really a dark theme, but it was just sort of a moodier take on the sort of soaring Superman instrumentals that you usually have. But no, I think it was a pretty decent
All right,
adaptation. Comic book wise, I have one more Superman thing that I want to mention, and that is Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, Volume Two. So
Jimmy,
I'm so I've
turning
now
the
officially
world on with your
finished.
smile, Jimmy.
This series is so packed. It's so packed. There's so many things going on. Like the Newsboy Legion from the 40s is
Yeah, the
there.
Christian
Um,
contemporary '90s band, the Newsboy Legion.
yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah. Listen, if this was just Jimmy Olsen, like being thrown headfirst into the New God stuff with Darkseid and everything, I think you'd actually have a pretty cool book. But the Newsboy Legion, I don't see how it worked in the 1940s, frankly, but putting it in the 70s is
Uh
weird.
huh.
And you take that, you take all of the regular stuff happening like with New Gods, plus Superman, like put Superman in there, it's just
I
too
see the
much. And
Tomorrow People
so
on the cover, right?
are they? I don't
The
I
tom-
don't think the
well,
Tomorrow
this
People are
guy's
in
on a
there.
motorcycle. This big like beastie guy is on a motorcycle.
Okay.
Huh.
But it's too
Okay.
much. It's too much. That's the bottom line. Also, Don Rickles was in it for a couple issues.
Fun.
I don't know.
Was
I don't
he all
know. It
like,
was
"Hey, look
weird.
at Superman. He's a piece of crap."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Superman, what's so super? I don't
Yeah.
see it. The other really weird thing about this, and we talked about it back when I read number one, and actually we had some viewer feedback about this because I said that Jimmy and Superman don't look like Jack Kirby
All right.
drawings. And in fact, Jimmy and Superman's faces were redrawn. Like the pencils were
Right.
redone to make them look more like the
Yeah.
Jimmy and Superman of the
Bizarre.
70s. And it is jarring. It really is. It doesn't seem like it would be a big thing, but you got a page with a bunch of people on it and they all look like Jack Kirby people. And then you have this like,
Yeah.
1970s like square jaw
Mm-hmm.
Superman who just looks like Superman
Yeah.
has looked for the last 20
Yeah.
years. And it's bizarre. So it really kind of takes
Would
you
you
out of
say
it.
it's
But
bizarro? Yeah.
oh no, that'd be
Yeah.
confusing.
Because
Ultimately, I
then you
feel
would
like
have
if
to
you're a
say
Jack
it's
Kirby
not
fan,
bizarro
yeah,
with
I guess you would
bizarro
have to.
talk.
Me, I'm not Bizarro,
Yeah.
probably is what you'd have to
Me
say.
am
Um,
not like this. No, but then you do like it. Boy, bizarro can be confusing.
the bottom line is, I think probably just for the history of, because it's Jack Kirby, it's because, this is him coming to DC and saying, give me the lowest selling book and I'll just do crazy things with it. I think it's worth thumbing
All right,
through,
Mr.
but
Kirby.
it's
Yeah.
it's not
Mm.
good. It's not really a good. The story I feel like is mostly
Mm.
nonsensical. So
Okay.
anyway, what else you
I
got?
finished the '80s series, the Suicide Squad series.
Wow, you finished it.
66
Okay.
issues. John Ostrander and Kim Yates, husband and wife team, writing this series.
That's cute.
Final Mission does a lot of stuff with Oracle. Does a lot of stuff with. Actually, I read the last 2 volumes. Is the thing. Family Reunion or the Dragon's Horde and the Final Mission. Yeah, I mean the final issues are pretty good. It does feel a bit anticlimactic. Like they knew it was ending, but they didn't really have like a crazy ending. It's just like one last mission where they kind of tie up some loose ends. So I say this one's Batman tangential because he is in it a lot. Actually, there's a lot of stuff with him, Superman, and Aquaman dealing with an issue that then involves the Suicide Squad, and Batman has been like kind of a reoccurring figure in this series. Oracle became a pretty big part of it. Poison Ivy is part of the team in a big way, and is giving Count Vertigo a hard time. So there's a lot of like Batman stuff in here, especially with the Oracle stuff. The second Atom is in here. I don't know if you ever. I can't something Cray. I don't ever remember. Yeah. He.
I know who you mean.
I wasn't aware of this character. He kind of has like a cool costume that can only be pulled off in the '90s, where it's kind of like this military jacket and almost like ammo wear. But he's also his mask is like one of those sock masks that go over like half his face, and so like the top of his hair is still poofing out, kind of like Gambit. And so he's like, I don't know, he's like the hardcore Atom.
He has his own title for a while, and I can't remember what it's called.
Spoilers.
Adam Cray is the third Atom.
Spoilers. He don't fare so well by the end of this series.
Oh.
So
okay.
It's funny how quickly you can be murdered with a nail when you're Atom sized. So
wow.
But yeah, I mean, it just kind of ends where they're like, all right, Amanda Waller is just like, we're done. The Suicide Squad is done. So, this is something I'm appreciating about DC and having the DC app at the moment, is that with Marvel, it's like, I want to read all the Spider-Man comics. Time to start in 1962 and just read all of it and then read all 5 of the other series that are going on at the same time and all that stuff.
Yes.
Whereas if you're like, I want to read like modern Batman or Suicide Squad or Aquaman and stuff, you're like, all right, we'll start in 1986 and then stop in 2011. You're done. You've read like the whole post-crisis universe. And I'm sad that it's like was destroyed and will never be repaired. But at the same time, it is kind of nice having like a beginning and an ending point for a lot of this stuff. True. That like I can finish Suicide Squad, and because I know Deadshot shows up in Villains United and then the Secret Six, I can like track his whole like kind of story.
That's cool.
So I like that, and it's basically like where I'm focusing my effort. Just like I'm just gonna read the DC stuff in this era. I think with Batman, I'm going a little before because a lot of his reboot stuff happens before that, and I don't think his title doesn't really get changed, right? Post Crisis just kind of keeps going.
Not really.
Yeah. It's I mean, I know they like bring back Hugo Strange like it's his first appearance and stuff because of Year One and whatnot, but I think that's one of those like I think Green Lantern as well, right? Is one of the series that just that
doesn't really change.
Wonder Woman, Superman are big changes and stuff, but
definitely
Justice League. So I'll probably at one point read Justice League International and stuff. But yeah, because I finished this, I was like, all right, let's get to the question. So and the question is, which thing to read next? So I chose the question, and the question was.
No, I get it. Yeah. I get it. It's a wordplay. All right. So I picked up some things for Hispanic Heritage Month. One of them being I've been picking up Ultimate Comic Spider-Man by Brian Michael Bendis. I read volume 2 of this time, and I feel like it dipped a little bit in the second volume.
SOB.
What?
Oh, you
I did actually.
Oh man,
I'm looking right at it. Anyway, I read volume 2 of this, and I do feel like the story takes a dip a little bit. I mean, Miles is sort of getting more used to being Spider-Man. There's a fun thing where he's watching like the Spider-Man movie to get Spider-Man motions and stuff, which is, just kind of a fun thing to do. But his uncle's finding out his secret, and then that becomes a whole thing. And I don't know, it just wasn't as strong a volume as number 1. But I mean,
actually really not liking the second volume compared to the first volume, and
I agree.
I was kind of like bummed by it all, and so later when I went back to the series, I was like, oh no, the series is good. I guess that second volume is just so weird.
Yeah, it wasn't bad enough that I'm like, forget it, I'm done with this
Yeah.
series. But I don't know. It was a little dull.
Man, I couldn't find a cover in time. I was hoping I could find a cover in time before you finished.
That's
Darn it.
okay. All right. You got a lot more? I'm about to move into my Batman stuff. You want me to do my last
I
pre-Batman
got
thing?
Batman stuff. Yeah.
Okay, here's my last pre-Batman thing. I picked up Blue Beetle, Volume 2. This is, we're just talking New 52. We're back in the New 52 era of Blue Beetle. I read the first volume forever ago and liked it. I think it was just, like my library had Volume 1, and I just never had Volume 2. So I went back and read it. I really like the character. Like Jaime Reyes, I think is a good character, and I like his whole dynamic with the Scarab, where something's damaged the Scarab and gives Jaime a little bit more control. And so there's a back and forth between the Scarab and him that I think makes for a cool story. The problem I feel like with Volume 2 here is they really can't quite pick a lane on what type of story they want
Like
to
a
tell,
Lois Lane
because
or a
it
Lana
starts
Lane?
with him.
No,
No,
who's
different,
her sister?
different. And
Lois?
Lang.
Lucy. That's what I meant to say. I said Lana.
Lucy Lane.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I know you did, and that was embarrassing for you. But anyway, I mean, it starts with him being a runaway, and we're sort of telling street level stories there. Him trying to keep the Scarab a secret, trying to figure it out, and all that. Then the book kind of gets shanghaied by the Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern. Well, when he's like the Lantern who can, he has one of
The
all
Emerald
rings.
Knights?
New Guardians, I think is what he's called. Yeah. And so that's kind of fun, but they don't really like add to Jaime's story. It's like he's going through and we see a little blip of this Green Lantern stuff, and then they're out. So that's 2 issues. That's kind of like, okay. And that just sort of keeps happening. There's 1 issue with Booster Gold, and I was excited about that, but it was, again, like sort of a different thing. And then we end with him going to like deep space, trying to take out like the Scarab homeworld, and it's just such a weird jump from where we were. Yeah, that it's kind of strange, and it ends with him like being stranded in space by himself without any way to get home, and that's like the end of the New 52 Blue Beetle series. But the last issue says that his adventures continue in the book Threshold, which I am not really familiar with, but I looked it up, and it's about like a rogue Green Lantern, and it's set in deep space, and I guess Blue Beetle, the threads sort of pick up in there. So I'm gonna read it. It's only 8 issues. I'm gonna read it and see where it goes. But I have not read Blue Beetle's Rebirth series, so I think I'll pick that up.
I had a friend who was really into Blue Beetle post Infinite Crisis, where they introduced this character, I think for the first time. Right, because Identity Crisis. It's Identity Crisis? No, it was Countdown. The point is, the original Blue Beetle was killed.
Okay.
And so
Ted Kord Blue Beetle.
So Jaime was introduced, and he was collecting like the original issues of that.
Yeah, the longest series is that one. It's the one that's before New 52. Right. I think that one goes for like 36, something like that. Quite a few issues. So I'm sure I'll swing back around too. At this point, I'm just moving forward. So. Anyway, Blue Beetle, Blue Diamond by Tony Bedard, illustrations by Ig Guara.
All right, so the Batman stuff. Like I said, for the 90s podcast, we're covering Kiss from a Rose by Seal. And so I've been listening to Kiss from a Rose this week, but I also watched the music video. There's 2 music videos. There's the 1994 music video for the original music video. And then Joel Schumacher loved the song and put it in Batman Forever, and he filmed like a Batman Forever music video with Seal. Just had Seal come over, stuck him in front of the bat symbol, and then edited a bunch of scenes from the movie. And like this is called like the love theme from Batman Forever on the single.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was It was like an original song that like failed.
Oh.
And Joel Schumacher was like, no, I love this song. He wanted it to be, I'm going to say all this on the 90s podcast, so sorry if you're listening to both. But he wanted it.
Oh, a little sample.
Schumacher wanted this to be for a love scene between Kilmer and Kidman in the film. But I don't think the scene's in there at all, and he didn't think the song worked, so he just threw it in the end credits. And It says
Yeah.
something like sold 6 million singles or something because of that.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
memorable. I mean, it comes
it's
right
so
in.
funny
Yeah.
that it's like so connected to Batman Forever at this point because it's the
I know.
last song. It's not even the first song that comes up when the movie ends and the credits start. Isn't it like the U2 "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me" song, and then it becomes "Kiss from a Rose"?
Oh,
Yeah, it's the
maybe
set
it's
like when
not.
you're
I didn't think
leaving the
so, but
theater when it's finally saying like "Thanks for coming." It's "Kiss from a Rose"
yeah.
that's playing. So it's like even Seal saying like it's so funny because like people leaving Batman Forever, which is one of the biggest movies in '95, the last thing you hear is "Baby." So
Yeah.
yeah, and Schumacher wanted to do the video. He didn't like charge Seal any money to like do a music video for it. He just like just come over, I'll do it. So there's like Seal in his like black silk shirt,
Yeah.
just singing
Sure.
and is like, and then you watch the music video. It's just so funny, but also it reminds me of like when we saw Batman Forever when they re-released them in the theaters. It wasn't
Yeah.
as fun of a time as I was hoping again. But every time I think about
That's
Batman
true.
Forever, I just can't shake how much fun I had seeing it in the theaters for the first time.
I know. I did too. I did too. When I saw Batman Forever, I mean, really, the theater was
Yeah, mine was
packed.
too.
There were people on either side of
Yeah.
me. I mean, there was not an empty
Jim
seat in
Carrey
the
at the
house.
zeitgeist of his popularity. Batman
Sure.
Forever was like, it was the first Batman movie I saw in theaters. It was like the first Batman movie I was seeing post like the cartoon being out. So there was like this
Okay.
element of like familiarity that I didn't have when maybe I first saw the other ones. And so it was just, yeah, it was just so big.
I honestly don't remember if I saw the Michael Keaton Batman movie in theaters. That seems crazy, but I feel
Well,
like
I
I
would have
did.
been like 3 when Batman '89
Yeah.
was out. So there's no way I did.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why I was watching
6, but-
Batman Returns. I don't know who was renting that
that's
for
a good
me.
question. It's possible that the first Batman movie I saw in theaters was Mask of the Phantasm.
I
That's
didn't-
probably
yeah, that was
more
before
accurate.
This, so, but anyway,
Yeah,
so I've just
yeah.
been listening to Seal and thinking about Batman Forever a lot.
Yeah,
As we come
it's a
up
good
for Batman
time.
Day, but there'll be talks. I'll be repeating that information about Schumacher and stuff, but then more stuff about Seal and Kiss from a Rose. So, good time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
The
have
love theme
I have
from
3.
Batman Forever.
It does say it
I
right
know,
on the.
I
I've seen
know.
that CD single before. It's right there. It's right
I mean,
there.
that's cool. If
Did
you're
you read
Seal,
anything?
and like you can just show your kids like, oh hey, that's me in front of the bat symbol. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of like cool
Not bad.
dad cred for life, right?
Yeah,
So,
I think so. Yeah.
Did I what?
I was just wondering if you read anything like specific or unusual for Batman Day. I've got 3 that kind of go together.
I haven't read anything specifically, but I have another Batman thing or two to say. So you go. You go.
Okay. All right. Well, for starters, I guess I've been in a New 52 mood for whatever
Weird.
reason. I don't know.
Do we need to
I
send you
know.
help? Send you to the
No,
doctor?
I think it's just with the app, when they were talking about changes to the app and everything, it just kind of got me thinking about things that I started. I was doing the same thing with Marvel, like putting in my library things that I maybe read the first 2 volumes and didn't finish or something. And that's what this next one is here, because I read Batwing Volume 3, Enemy of the State. This is by Judd Winnick, Fabian Nicieza, Marcus II. This character, David is his name. He's a cop. It's set in Africa. At the time, it was like maybe the only DC Comics, like mainstream DC Comics book that was set outside of the U.S. So, I mean, it's unique in that
Right,
anyway.
because it kind of came off of Grant Morrison's Batman International.
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
some people
Yeah, the
like
character.
really making fun of the concept because he's like, I'm Batman of Africa. It's like, do you realize
Yeah.
DC Comics
It's
how
big.
big Africa is?
Yeah.
Like, Batman isn't the Batman of North America, and if he was, that would take
Yeah.
up so much time. And it's just kind of like one of those things where
Yeah.
people are like, oh yeah, Africa's a
He's
city.
not.
So
I think that's just a marketing thing because he is a police officer set in a specific city, and he stays pretty close to that. This is a transitional book in the series. The character, I feel like they don't, in the first 3 volumes, and it's only 3 volumes that we have him, I don't think they really do enough to like ground the other side of him. You know what I mean? Like we all know Bruce Wayne, we all know Barbara Gordon, but with David, I just feel like they didn't give you much of a hook to care about him as a person. So like if you were interested in the Batwing arc, great, but like without, I think the other half of like, that's what makes these characters I feel like work so well, is that you have like what's on the other side of that, like what's his regular life and all that. I think that's really downplayed. And so you never really feel, or at least I didn't feel particularly attached to the character. The series goes on, but with a new lead. When he steps down, you have Luke Fox step in as the new Batwing, starting with Volume
Who
4. So
I'm familiar then at least with one of these Batwings. Which Batwing was in the movie Batman Bad Blood, the animated one? That's kind of like the Battle for the Cowl.
yes, that is Luke
Okay.
Fox. That's the second Luke Fox, the same character who is a main character in CW's
Mm-hmm.
Batwoman, takes over as Batwing after
Oh, okay.
this. So
Yeah,
I still, I enjoyed this series. I liked the first two, and I even like this one. It's just, I think it was smart of them to transition into a new lead character, someone that they could that who had a little bit more history because they just didn't do the groundwork for the other
mm-hmm.
lead of that. So anyway, that's
Yeah,
Batwing.
Batman's had he's had
Um,
some staying power. Like a lot of
yeah,
characters kind of came and went with Grant Morrison's stuff.
yeah,
Unfortunately, Damon's one of the ones that stayed, but so is
yeah,
Batwing.
yeah,
So
yeah. Batwing. He hasn't done a lot. I mean, he is in Bad Blood. He's voiced by Gaius Charles in
mhm.
that, who from Friday Night Lights or Grey's Anatomy. But outside of that, I don't think he really makes. I feel like that's the only time you see him off the
Hmm.
page. I can't
Well,
think
you
of
just said
another.
Batwoman.
Yeah, 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 Batwoman. But he's not
Yeah.
Batwoman in that. It's just you
I
see
think
Luke
he's.
Fox.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he was in one of the games. Continue.
Oh, it's possible. You might be right. Anyway, the three that I want to talk about today all kind of fall into the same category, and that's part of this new run that DC's doing, focusing on junior and young adult graphic
Hey, I
novels.
was wrong. The only version you see of Batwing is in the DC Universe Online game, which means he's like not a
Oh,
playable character, and it's the
I
Luke
see. Okay.
Fox version. So
So I read Batman Nightwalker by Marie
yeah,
Lu. The book is by Marie
yes,
Lu. It was adapted by Stuart Moore, illustrations by Chris
mm-hmm,
Wildgoose. I loved this.
mm-hmm.
I thought this was really cool. Now you read the
I read
novel,
the
right?
young adult novel of this. Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
only one of those.
Were you into it? Did you like it?
Yeah, I was in like a real Batman kick at the time. Like I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
never really not, but I was
Yeah.
kind of like I want to read some new Batman stuff I haven't read, and this had come out, and I was just game for it, and
Yeah.
I had a good time reading through it. I wouldn't say it was unputdownable, but it held my attention like the whole time. I was kind of invested. And I didn't think I would be because it's like teen Bruce Wayne prior to being
Yeah.
Batman, but I liked the stuff it was
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, I did too. I have the book. I picked it up a few times and just was like, nah, I don't think I want to read
Mm-hmm.
this. But something about the graphic novel, it's a cool, clever story. And the graphic novel is really like very limited colors, a lot of blacks and whites and blues.
Mm-hmm.
And it just tells this
Yeah,
really
the book
contained
is also
story.
very limiting in its colors. It's really just black and white.
Black
Yeah.
and white. Yeah, that makes sense. But I five starred it. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. I also read Batman Overdrive, which is by Shay Fontana. So this was the meat of our interview over on the All the Book show. I was asking Shay all about
Yeah,
Batman
less
Overdrive.
interested in this. Convince me otherwise.
You're less
Yeah, I
interested
don't
in
know
this?
why. How old is he supposed to be in this?
He's like
All
16.
right, I guess that's Nightwalker age.
What I think it really succeeds at is he truly feels like a 16-year-old kid,
Pass.
and he no, 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 but listen, and he's trying to deal with the stuff with his parents, and he's got this really weird relationship with Alfred. I feel like it's the first time I've read anything that really deals with the idea of like your butler is now your dad but is still your butler.
Hmm.
So like it deals with that. It gives Alfred a little background. It gives
Yeah,
Alfred a
that is
little
confusing
like
because my mom always was telling us she wasn't our maid. You
yeah.
know, but
Hmm.
then I'd
But
watch
in
something
this
like Batman. I'm
scenario,
like, well, what about this?
so so what's clever about this is he's got two main focuses. One, he's not really in the headspace of like I'm going to be a crime fighter. He's like I want to solve my parents'
Hmm.
murder. And so that's sort of what gets him into like the whole detective side
Does he
of
make a
things.
sentient car like Kit from Knight Rider?
A little, a
Oh,
little. No. He's turning 16, and so he's going to pick like one of his dad's cars, and he really wants this car that his dad loved, which is called the Crusader 66, which is an obvious nod to
does
Adam
it come
West.
in black?
So he's focusing on fixing up this car, which is
Mm-hmm.
trashed. And so he's spending a lot of time at this junkyard, and he meets this kid named Mateo Diaz, who becomes like his really good friend. And they work on this car, and essentially they're like creating the
Right.
Batmobile. But what I think really sells it is that she makes all these transitions really smooth, where it doesn't feel like, oh, look, it's the Batmobile, or oh, look, His hood kind of looks like a bat cowl. It's all just a really like smooth transition from like a kid who's
Mm-hmm.
grieving, focusing his like depression or his, mania about his
Mm-hmm.
parents on fixing this car and like solving their murder. So I was not super excited about reading it just because like we've read that story of Bruce's origin so many times. But this, I really feel like she did something that was unique and different here. So I don't know that I would recommend it to you, but I feel like a teen picking it up or, I think it would be I think it'd be good. I mean, I liked it a
All right.
lot. You're making a lot
Well,
of weird
because you said you
faces.
wouldn't
You
recommend it
confused
to
me there
me,
for a
so
second.
I was shocked.
I
But I'm
just
too
don't I
tired to
just don't
really
know that
imitate my real
I
self.
just don't know that you would like
I don't
it.
know if
That's
you'd
all.
like anything, Nick.
Huh. Well,
So-
okay. The last one that's in this little trifecta of Batman YA things would be Gotham High by Melissa De
this
La
looked fun
Cruz,
when I
illustrations
saw
by
this
Thomas
coming out.
Matilli. Yeah, this one I gotta give it points for
Who's on the
originality
cover with
because
him? That's Bruce Wayne, obviously, who's like, I'm so sick of school. I've got
yeah,
senioritis because my parents were
hmm
murdered.
one of them is his friend Jack Napier.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and the other is Selena Rodriguez Kyle. And one thing it does right from the bat is it
Right from the
mixes.
what? Does it come in black?
Yeah. So Bruce Wayne's mother is Chinese American, and it's like her money that makes all of the Wayne in America. Like it's her money that sets up the Waynes the way they
Okay.
are. And
I mean,
so you
that
pick
always
up with
made
the
sense,
parents
right? It's
being
always
dead.
Martha's fortune because isn't Jonathan, not Jonathan, I always say
Thomas,
Thomas.
Tom,
Thomas Wayne is just a doctor. So, but then like all the
yeah.
movies are always like Thomas Wayne was rich. Where does the fortune come from? Is it they're both rich and then Thomas Wayne is like, I want to be a doctor too? It's both, isn't it?
Well, in mainstream, it's
Yeah.
usually family money, and he just becomes a doctor because he wants to. But so this reimagines that that's that. And when they die, Bruce's uncle Alfred, who is in China, sends him to a boarding school, and then sort of comes back when he's a teenager, and they have this weird thing. But they have Alfred actually be a blood
Mm-hmm.
relative. So, and Selena Kyle is like sort of in the Rachel mold as his like childhood best friend who lives next door,
Rachel who?
uh, like from Batman Begins.
Oh, yeah.
So
Rachel!
she's like his childhood.
Sorry.
She's like his childhood
Uh-huh.
friend, and she's trying to deal with her father has like early onset Alzheimer's, and her mother, who was rich, is dead. But she's kept it so the father doesn't get any of the money. So Selena's really struggling to like get him taken care of. Jack's just kind of doing his
Yeah,
own
Jack's
thing.
doing his own thing.
You
He's
know.
just dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight. He doesn't care. Yeah.
Yeah. But there starts to be these like high profile kidnappings, and Selena's kidnapped, and there's ransom and all sorts of things happening. You're trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm not going to tell you
All
what's
right.
going on because I think it's actually a pretty
I
decent
want to read this.
it's a pretty
You know
decent
what? I'm going to
thread.
read this
So
and Overdrive.
okay.
And
I'd love it if you
and
would.
I'm
I'd
going to
love to
send
hear
you
what
a
you think about
picture
those.
of Batman Overdrive when Batman
Okay.
takes out the car and then somebody's like, "No, the other car, sir."
Yeah. Yeah. So subtle. So
So,
subtle. But listen, I really just have nothing but praise for
all
these
right.
three, and to take three graphic novels about a teenage Bruce
Mm-hmm.
Wayne and do something completely different, I think is pretty
Yeah.
impressive. So, yeah, I would say for you, I would probably recommend Gotham
Mm.
High. I think that's probably the best one to
Uh,
go with. But I liked all of these.
update the episode again with your shirt. Just to
Oh
recap in case
yes,
anyone hasn't seen. I did get you
yeah.
this shirt. I don't remember
Uh,
where.
uh,
Wow.
I don't remember where
Very
either,
cool.
but you
Yeah,
did
a
get
lot
it
of
for me.
Batman. A lot of different versions of Batman in there. And
Yeah.
Robin.
Yep, there's a lot going on. There
Yeah.
is, yeah, I'm just gonna stand up. Yeah, you do get a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
Robin as
Yep.
well. A little
Yeah.
Robin
A lot
right
of
there.
Batmans.
Yeah. My son's always asking me, like, what is that Batman? What is that Batman? And I'm like, I don't know. That's the Silver Age, baby. One weird Batman shows up for
Yeah.
one issue, and that's pretty much how it
I
works.
finished the game Batman Arkham Knight, which is the
Oh,
last Batman game in this Arkham series. I'm going to put up the spoiler tag right
okay.
now because I'm going to spoil the heck out of this game. And I
Oh,
know you're
okay.
never going to play it, so I can do that. Boink, there. So while that spoiler tag is up, I'm spoiling it. If you're watching the video and that spoiler tag is down, it's safe. But it's Batman Arkham Knight. It came out 5 years ago. I'm late to the game.
You
So
are.
I played Arkham Asylum, and I loved it. I thought it was great. It kind of revitalized me with some gaming things.
Yeah.
Arkham City was fun, but I missed the focused nature of Asylum. Arkham Origins I enjoyed a lot because it had that focused nature a bit again, and it had some real boss fights. And then on comes in Arkham Knight, which is just like so over the top and just like throwing everything it can over the wall to the wall. The combat and a lot of the mechanics are the best that they've ever been in the series. The graphics are really nice, though some of the character designs have been changed from the previous games, and they're a little weird. There's some change-ups with the lore of Batman, which are fine. Mechanically, they bring in the Batmobile as like a playable thing for the first time in this series, and this is what everybody said. Cool. Well, everybody was complaining about it when it came out, and I was like, well, probably not that bad. It's pretty bad at times. The big problem is there's some Riddler courses, like Riddler like builds underground racetracks, and I have a hard time controlling the Batmobile in those where it has to be more pinpoint control. But when you're just driving around Gotham City in this Batmobile tank, it looks very much like the Tumbler from the Dark Knight trilogy. It's fun. It's just kind of fun. You hitting the boost every now and then is a lot of fun. Flying out of it or landing in it is fun. It's weird to be playing Batman and like shooting other tanks with tanks and realizing that like you're Batman, but you've got full artillery in your car.
Apparently.
The other problem with the Batmobile is that there's two fights in this. You fight the Arkham Knight, who is a character I'll get into in a second, and you fight Deathstroke. And both of their boss fights are tank versus tank. And it's just disappointing because at one point, like, you beat Deathstroke's tank, he pops out of the car, and it looks like you're going to do an actual fight, and it's just a cutscene of Batman punching him in the face. And I was like, why the frick would you get one of the few people who would be Batman's, like, physical counterpart for a fight and just limit him to this, like, weird tank fight?
That's a good question.
So this game, Arkham Knight, is out for Batman. He hates Batman. He hates Batman more than anybody. He just wants Batman to die. Scarecrow is the main villain of this. He wants Batman to suffer. Knight just wants to kill him. It's a mystery. We don't know who Arkham Knight is. Arkham Knight knows all of Batman's secrets. You'll never guess who Arkham Knight is. His identity's hidden. How does he know who Batman is? How does he know how Batman's toys work? How does he know how Batman thinks? How does he know who Oracle is? We'll never know. And then a bunch of times in the game, people are constantly like, hey, remember Jason Todd? And nobody's saying Jason Todd is the Arkham Knight. They're always like, who could this be? But, like, the Joker is in your head and stuff. So Joker had died in Arkham City, but he's infected Batman, and he's trying to take over Batman's mind and stuff. So he's just there all the time having conversations with Batman and teasing him and stuff. Sure. So, like, you're just like, who is Arkham Knight? And Joker's just like, you remember Jason Todd? Boy, we messed him up. And just, like, it just keeps coming up, and it's like...
So it's subtle. You're saying it's subtle.
It's so obvious. Though. And maybe if this is your first Batman story with Jason Todd, you would be surprised. But for anyone else, and I guess a lot of the marketing was poising that Arkham Knight was going to be an original character or like a new thing.
I see.
So it was just kind of like so much of the mystery was just so blah. If they had introduced the lore of Jason Todd back in Arkham Asylum, and he was like, oh, I can't believe I let Joker kill Todd back in those days. It would have been a thing, but since this is the only game they talk about Todd, it's just... And then it just made me want to watch Under the Red Hood, because I don't think they really do...
Oh, yeah, with Doogie Howser.
The story doesn't end well for Red Hood. Two things I do like about... Well, one thing I like about this is the Joker stuff.
Let me hear it.
Because the Joker is in Batman's head, there's a lot of...
Is it Mark Hamill?
It's Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. So Joker is just talking to Batman about life, and it's just kind of funny because Joker has his deranged sense of humor and all this stuff, but now he knows all of Bruce's secrets, so he can really like dig into them and stuff. And I like that. And the whole thing ends with Joker. He wants to take over Batman's mind so he can then have like Batman's body, and he can like reign over Gotham in terror in like this peak physical form and with Batman's toys and everything. But the Scarecrow infects Batman, and so Batman... But it's after Joker has taken over, and so now Joker's worst fear is happening in his head. He sees himself, like, killing all the Bat villains, and he's having a great time, but then he starts, like, he goes to his own wake and realizes no one's there but Harley, and
Oh,
he's just
it's a
buried at a
shame.
grave that's falling apart, and people are forgetting about the Joker, and no one's talking about him, and so his biggest fear is that he's gonna be forgotten, and then Batman
Okay.
shows up, and he's like, you're gonna be forgotten, you're going away, no one's gonna remember you. And they have this kind
Mm.
of big mental fight, which is really cool. And I like that kind of concept. And then the Joker's like, no, Batman, I need you. And he just gets locked away in Batman's mind. I don't buy the conceit well because it's like, of course the Joker would be remembered. It's not like we have forgotten who any serial killers are. We still make shows and movies.
Right.
I mean, we're still talking about the Zodiac Killer. We still talk about Ed Grimes. All, serial killers and terrorists and all that. They don't like disappear from the public consciousness after they die. The Joker will be
Right.
talked about. But I get what they're going for, and Conroy and Hamill playing off each other is strong. It ends
Yeah.
with like everyone knowing who Batman is. It's like revealed, and so Batman blows up the mansion and makes everybody look like makes everybody think he's dead, and it doesn't really play well or successfully. I've seen it done better in a bunch of different places.
Mm-hmm.
But and then yeah, Red Hood, his whole thing is that like he frees Batman, but there's like nothing really to it emotionally. So it's a strange game, a lot of weird elements, a
Sounds
lot
like
of
it.
things I liked and a lot of things I didn't like. Yeah, I mean, Man Bat was in it. I guess that's cool. You chase Firefly around in your Batmobile. Azrael
fun.
was there. Tim Drake, Dick Grayson. The stuff. Oh, there is a fun element in this game where sometimes you're fighting alongside Catwoman or Nightwing, and there's a button. You'll be in a fight and you'll press like the L button, and it will have Batman punch a person and kick him off to the side, and then Catwoman will intercept that person and knock him out, and now you're playing as Catwoman.
That's cool.
And so that's really fun with the Catwoman stuff, but it's also a lot of fun with the Nightwing stuff, because you're just going back and forth between Batman and Nightwing, and you're just seeing them like be a team,
Yeah.
and Nightwing's like his jovial self. He's like, don't we make this look good and stuff? So it's
Yeah.
a good time. I like the Arkham series, obviously. Asylum is still
Yeah.
my favorite. Night might be my least favorite because of some of the weirdest elements.
Okay.
But I mean, it still kind of went out on a high. It's not a bad game. So,
Nice.
yeah, I enjoyed it. And now I'm going to be able to play those Batman Telltale games.
Oh
which I
yeah,
haven't played.
right. Did you ever play any of the old school Batman games? Like, did you ever play Batman Rise of Sinzu?
No, I did play a bunch of Batman Vengeance, which was literally part of the
Okay.
animated series.
Yeah. I had that on Game Boy, like Game Boy
Yeah,
Advance.
it was on that. It was on. It's a GameCube, PS2 era game. I'd like to get a new copy of it so I could like play it again.
The Game Boy one was pretty
Yeah,
solid.
I think the Vengeance was a big deal because it came out around the same time that Dark Tomorrow Batman game came out, which was like trash.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
yeah,
But
pure
I never
trash.
played like the Batman '89 game for the NES that people love.
Oh, I played
And
that. Yeah, that's
there's the
fun.
Genesis Batman and Robin game that has like crazy graphic stuff.
That is like
Yeah.
top notch. That I feel like is I love that game. Batman Forever for PlayStation, horrible. That's like the worst game imaginable. Sinzu is fun. Batman: The Rise of Sinzu is fun, which is like I played that on GameCube. It's fun because it made me think of it when you were talking, because you can play as like any member of the Bat family. Like you can either be like Tim Drake, Robin, Dick Grayson, Batgirl, or Batman, and any like variation. So you can have cool teams that go through. And it was like it was definitely the first time you could play as Batgirl. I mean, that was a big deal.
You should read the novelization for that game, because the writer there's a writer who wrote for Nightwing a lot, and
It's Devin Grayson.
yeah,
I think, who
and
wrote that.
everybody, it was so obviously like that Devin Grayson was in love with Nightwing in general, because when you read the novelization of Rise of Sinzu, it's just any way she can physically describe Nightwing and his the tensing buttocks and the rippling muscles and the luscious hair, like it's in the text. There's no reading between the lines with that kind of stuff with Nightwing. So
Wow.
yeah,
You like him.
and I mean, if anybody is an F-boy in the Bat series, it's Nightwing. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Can I talk a little bit about the Batman?
The Batman. Sorry.
The Batman. The Batman, I feel like suffers most because of how quickly it came out.
Almost like a
on the
year
heels of
later, it felt like.
Batman the Animated Series. And don't forget, Kevin Conroy was still doing Batman on Justice
yeah.
League. Like it overlapped Justice
And
League.
a lot
so
of us who were in the know had a resentment to this series because Warner Brothers wouldn't let Justice League used Batman villain characters because of the Batman
Mm,
series and the
okay.
Dark Knight trilogy. Or maybe not the Dark Knight, but they were planning like a Batman thing. So
Yeah.
like there was like a bat embargo for their
The
villains.
Bat
They were able to
embargo. I
use like the
remember that.
Joker at some points, but like
Yeah.
they couldn't use like anybody else. And so that was for they couldn't use
Right.
Batgirl when they did their Birds of Prey episode.
Yeah. Right.
So
Well, whatever, like I understand bad feelings, but I love this
mhm.
series and I wish that it would like be rediscovered. I was glad when they put it on the DC app because it is one of those ones that's like no one really I mean, I feel like
My
people
brother really liked this. He
people
didn't care for the '90s one because he was too young. Really, it was this series that
yeah,
like he watched and like he owned a couple. Like we got him the couple of the seasons
yeah,
on DVD when he was younger.
yeah. Yeah, I just think it's really fun, and it's they do I feel like it really does have its own identity separate from Batman the Animated Series.
Hmm.
Like it's not a rip off or a retread. Like everything it's very like almost has a futuristic sort of polish
Hmm.
to it. And by the time season 3 rolls around, you have a bit of a revamp. Some characters are
Right.
redesigned. You get a new theme song. We introduce Batgirl.
Superman.
And I love this
Right.
Batgirl. I love this Batgirl. Yeah, and eventually, like the last season is pretty much a Brave and the Bold
Right.
sort of thing where you've got a new character every week. But I just think if you have not seen this series, you should go back and watch it because I've been watching a little bit with my son recently and I hadn't seen it in a while. And it holds
Hmm.
up. It's just so good. There's a DC did a comic book series that ran for like 50 plus issues. Um, there's a couple of volumes that they put out in digest form, but the app only has the ones that were collected, the first 21
Hmm.
issues. So those are on the app, but the comics are pretty solid too. And actually, Batman vs Dracula is
Yeah.
pretty good. Did you ever see
No,
it?
but I hear good things. I mean, I'm gonna watch this at some point, but
Yeah.
it's what was I gonna say about this for two? One, it's funny because like we were talking about how U2 has a song in Batman Forever, and then The Edge
Hmm.
from U2 comes and
Yeah.
does the soundtrack for this. But
Yeah.
I think maybe the release was backwards. I think after the animated series, they should have done Brave and the Bold, and then if they had come back
Yeah.
with the Batman, it would have been like, all right, we're back to kind of a serious take.
Well, it's funny because I mean, I think the Batman was a success. I mean, it's 5 seasons. It's not a
Yeah,
short run of
yeah.
that show, you know. Brave and the Bold, of course, too. But then after Brave and the Bold, when they go with Beware the
Hmm.
Batman, like no one cares about
I
Beware the
I want to
Batman,
watch it now that
you
it's
know.
on HBO. I think, or
Oh, is it?
it's either
I
on the
liked it.
DC
I
app
mean,
or
I
it's on HBO. It's on one of those.
I appreciated the
Yeah.
weirdness of that show. It's Batman and
Yeah,
Katana,
but
and
it's also
I
Professor. I'm so sick of Professor Pig.
it's a lot of Professor
Thanks a
Pig.
lot,
Yeah,
Grant
it certainly
Morrison.
is. It
Yeah.
certainly is. Anyway, bottom line, I think the Batman is honestly, I think if I was going to sit down and watch a Batman show, that would be the
Mm,
one. That's my favorite, I would
wow.
say. So I want people to go watch it because it's cool, it's fun,
All right.
I like it. The
Yeah.
Batman. Okay.
I haven't done a Batman pick in a while. One that I've read before. I think Nick likes
Okay.
this one. This is during the Dick Grayson era where he's Batman. Bruce is
Okay.
off somewhere. I don't know if he's back from the dead or if it's just Dick Grayson by himself. Batman Gates of Gotham. So
Yes, I do like
Gates
that one.
McFadden from Star Trek: The Next Generation fame
From Star Trek: The
is
Next Generation, Beverly Crusher.
is
Yeah.
holding Gotham hostage. No, it's gosh, I don't even remember like all the story beats. I just remember that I really, really enjoyed this. Dick Grayson was kind of fun. This was a little early in Scott Snyder's run of Batman before he started writing the like the new 52 Batman, so before Court of Owls and everything. Like I said, Dick
Yeah.
Grayson is Batman here. But it was fun. The villain in it has this like steampunk scuba suit thing and a
Yes.
spear. The
Hmm.
art was really fun. I think it's Trevor McCarthy. It kind of deals
Hmm.
with this like really old history of Gotham, like the founding families of Gotham, like the Waynes,
Yeah,
the
it's kind of split 50-50. You have the
Elliots,
1800 story and
yeah,
then you have the modern
the
story. Yeah.
Elliots, the
Cobblepots,
Cobblepots, and
probably.
someone else. So there's just a lot of stuff in there, but it was one of the better Dick Grayson as Batman stories in there.
Agreed.
Um,
Yeah.
And yeah, it just has a really weird and unique vibe. I didn't really know when I read it like where it fit and everything because it's like its own miniseries.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like it's its own
Yeah,
thing.
but it's just kind of like a cool history through there. Kyle Higgins also wrote it. Is Kyle Higgins was writing Nightwing?
Yes. Do you want to hear something weird? It's sitting right next to
Oh,
me.
there you go. All right.
Gates of Gotham.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, Kyle Higgins was the primary Nightwing author, and I don't really like his Nightwing, but Gates of Gotham was good stuff.
So Batman is like assembling a team as well. Like Red Robin's there, Owlman, I Ching. So there's a couple of different characters helping out.
Cassandra Cain too, and it had been a while since they really had used Cassandra Cain.
Right, the Canes are part of the families.
Oh, that makes sense.
So,
yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, just this is like, I mean, real early with Scott Snyder, where I think like he was best known for American Vampire at the time.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it's early.
Yeah, a little less continuity heavy than. Well, I guess continuity. There's Cassandra Cain, and you're dealing with the stuff. But yeah, I was impressed by this.
Yeah, but I do think you could pick up and read it.
I don't hear many people talk about this anymore, though. I think it was pretty well received when it came out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, part of the old pre-New 52 universe, but with most Batman stuff, you can just pick it up. So, yeah, what a weird like villain. He had like a spear gun too, right? And yeah just that kind of like weird like.
Well, it's very old.
Yeah, that old-fashioned like. The head is a bubble scuba suit. Yeah. All right. Do you have a comic book?
Solid.
Do you have a quarter bin pick?
I sure do. You ready for it?
Yes.
It's The Brave and the Bold, number 144. The backup story in this one is a Human Target. Like a couple of weeks back, we did a Human Target. It's called The Human Target in the Sympathy for the Devil Contract. So that's the background story. That's not what I'm focusing on this time. I'm doing the A story for Batman Day.
The Batman.
And this is
sorry.
Yeah. So Brave and the Bold number 144 came out in 1978, written by Bob Haney, illustrated by Jim Aparo. It's called The Arrow of Eternity, and things get weird.
Sure.
I'm just going to tell you straight away, things get weird. We start with Bruce Wayne's assistant Gwen sitting there with an apple on her head.
Oh boy.
Bruce walks into his office, and an arrow comes out of nowhere and slices the apple in two right off her head. And guess who it is, Eric?
It's Green Arrow.
It's the Green Arrow. Yeah,
that's
it's
his
the Green
thing.
Arrow.
Shooting apples off of people's heads.
Yes, he hits on Gwen, and after that he goes into. Yeah, I know. He goes into Bruce's office, and Bruce is like, "Well, I'm sure your reason for coming here is not just trying to make out with my assistant."
Well,
and he's like, "No, actually,
it is.
I've been reading this book, this super old book, and I want to find Merlin's magic arrow, which was last seen in the year 1415." There's also a spooky shadow in the background that you don't really dwell on, but it is there. Anyway, Bruce is like, you know what? I've got a board meeting in Germany, so why don't you hop in the jet and I will drop you off in France as I go.
Okay.
So they get above France. Green Arrow takes off. Bruce realizes that he's left the book behind. Batman, he switches to Batman. He's going to look at the book, and it vanishes. It's being pulled by some mystic force, and it vanishes, okay? So, of course, Batman is now very suspicious about this, and he's like, forget Germany. I'm going down to France to help my boy Green Arrow figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So he finds the ruins of this fortress that are mentioned in this book from 1415. He's looking around, and suddenly he's captured by, you guessed it, a medieval knight.
No.
Part 2. Batman recognizes a living gargoyle. He's like, oh, that's that living gargoyle from Green Arrow's book. And also, we met him that time I was time traveling with the Teen Titans. No explanation.
None needed.
No explanation. Sure. Anyway, as Batman's reminiscing about time traveling with the Teen Titans, he is captured by a man on a horse and then is lashed to a horse. Let's find Green Arrow, shall we? He runs into Merlin, and Merlin's like, yeah, here's the magic arrow. I'll put it in your quiver. Easy peasy, done and done.
Not the Green Arrow villain, Merlin.
The
actual Merlin,
the magician. Yes.
Is Green Arrow ever like, boy, I have my own Merlin back in the present, and he's a real handful?
He, in fact, is not. Anyway, Green Arrow is like, you know what? I'm going to team up with King Henry. And then the action is interrupted by a Green Lantern Twinkies ad.
What?
Green Lantern is fighting Mirror Master, and he goes
Green
to shoot
Lantern is
his
fighting
ring
Mirror
beam.
Master? Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
it's a
Yeah.
Twinkies ad. He's shooting his beam at Mirror Master, and
What?
guess what? Mirror Master is a mirror and directs it back on him, and he traps Green Lantern in his own construct. So what are we gonna do? Green Lantern is stuck in his own power ring. Luckily, some kids show up with Twinkies, and they realize that, hey, you know what? Twinkies are yellow. Let's use their yellowness to block Green Lantern's beam. And so they do. And then they all, including Mirror Master, share Twinkies, and then Green Lantern tosses Mirror Master in jail. The
What?
end.
Wait. This is I don't get it. The kids
This is just
the
an ad.
kids are sharing the Twinkies with Mirror Master? And
Okay,
then
the
the
kids-
Mirror Master is punished for enjoying Twinkies by and so Lantern is like, "You shan't enjoy Twinkies on my watch."
The kids use the yellow. They use the yellow of the Twinkies to disrupt the beam because the power ring is weak to Twinkie
So
yellow.
they're helping Green Lantern. Okay.
Yeah, they are. They're using it to block the beam, but then like they're gonna have Twinkies, and Green Lantern's not a monster, so he shares some with Mirror
Right,
Master.
yeah, you're going
You
to
see that?
jail, but enjoy your Twinkies. Yeah.
That's exactly what it says.
The quarterback
Anyway.
of your football team would enjoy a Twinkie. Why don't you, short stuff? Want that
Exactly.
gal to notice you? Offer her a Twinkie.
Anyway, back in the main plot, the Gargoyle starts a jousting match and is crushing it. People keep running at him, and he's like, "Bring it! I'm a living gargoyle, son." Green Arrow escapes. Oh, and you're probably wondering, what about Batman? Batman's been tied to a horse this whole time and finally escapes. Green Arrow uses the magic arrow to hit the gargoyle. And, long story short, the English win. Batman and Green Arrow get back to the portal. They hightail it back to the 70s. Well, guess what? Somehow Batman has figured out that this whole time that the gargoyle had been orchestrating thing. In fact, it wasn't even Merlin that Green Arrow meant. It was the gargoyle in disguise. Because
no.
I read this page at least 4 times trying to figure out what's happening here, and I don't really know. But as far as I can tell, something about the magic arrow has locked the gargoyle into this thing where he's just like in limbo, and he's been pulling the strings trying to get somebody to do something with this magic arrow so that he can escape. So they realize he must be in the present. So they go to find him, and he's hiding in a Nazi bunker. A Nazi bunker.
Nothing's gonna surprise me after the whole Twinkies are used to stop Mirror Master thing.
Okay.
Go on.
Anyway, Green Arrow pretends like he's under the gargoyle's spell to give Batman an opening to distract him. So while he's not paying attention, Green Arrow uses the real magic arrow and shoots the gargoyle, and I guess that does it. He says Batman has to explain all this because Dinah's never gonna believe it. The end.
The end. You know what this reminds me of?
Yo mama?
Yeah, it reminds me of my mama. But also, the issues Iron Man 149 through 150, the 2-issue story arc called Doom Quest, where Iron Man and Doom go back to King Arthur times, and Doom teams up with Morgan Le Fay and creates like a zombie army, and Iron Man teams up with King Arthur, and they have this like all-out war between them and Morgan Le Fay.
Yeah.
Pretty great story. But as you're reading this, I just keep thinking like, boy, I want to reread Doom Quest.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. So why, if you're gonna have them like time travel this, why isn't Green Arrow hanging out with Robin Hood?
I don't know. And I don't know why they so nonchalantly mentioned that Batman had already met this guy when he was time traveling with the Teen Titans.
Yeah, and Arrow's like, no reason to explain. I understand.
What are the odds?
Yeah.
Anywho,
It's kind.
do you have any Batman Day plans? Are you going to be rewatching things?
Isn't Batman Day right now? Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
I guess
I'm just
gonna
wondering
do
if
kind of
tonight
a
you were going to
Batman-themed
watch.
comic book coffee break with my friend Nick.
Okay.
And then,
all right. You said
oh my
friend.
gosh.
It's recorded.
And I'll probably hold up my my little Batman figurine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a Batgirl. I have a. Hold on.
This is the Batgirl from the Batman. She's so funny.
Oops.
I love this Batgirl.
I have Carrie Kelly, Robin.
I
Yeah,
bought you that,
yeah.
Carrie Kelly.
You bought me a Batman figure too. That's not the one I'm holding. The one I have now, I got at like a book convention in Seattle we won
I
it at
remember
the
that.
DC,
I won a
yeah,
Superman.
when they were like, we're gonna do some DCYA novels, and they're called DC Inc. Just kidding, that was only for a month. Now we're calling it DC Teen. Just kidding, that was for a month. Now we're calling it DC Universe. Just kidding, it's DC Universe Infinite. Just kidding, now we're on HBO Max.
If you add 5 more digressions in there, you have what actually happened.
But you know, now they can like team up, and he's like, I'm old, but I'm still in it. And she's like, cool. I'm gonna do a lot of crazy. I'm gonna wear a cheetah costume in the sequel. Bye.
So, what's your deal? No? Okay.
Sorry.
That's all. Okay. Well, so you're not going to go watch like Batman Forever or something now.
Isn't it like 2.5 hours?
It's a long haul, yeah.
Not that long.
You could watch Batman and Robin. It's like almost 3 hours, and Batman's not in it. So
no, I'm okay. I've celebrated my Batman day as it is. You know what? I live every day like it's Batman Day.
Yeah, you said that on all the books.
Well, it's true every day. So
yeah, you're consistent. So that's great. All right.
What are you doing?
Well,
huh?
I don't have anything else. Well, like I said, I've been watching the Batman with my son. I mean, I guess now I should go pound through like Young Justice or something before the DC app takes it all away from me. I don't know. So
you love Young Justice.
All right. I was never really a fan of Young Justice. I'm afraid to say.
Right. Well, that's it for Comic Book Coffee Break. Next week we'll be talking about more stuff we're reading. Maybe less Batman. I don't know.
Probably less Batman.
I don't know what I'm reading. I guess I'm going to keep reading The Question, but because I finished Moon Knight, part of me feels like I need to go back and just start at X-Men #1 from the 60s.
Like Stan Lee era. Okay.
We're gonna do a Sentinel spotlight in like a future. It's like a while away, but there's a lot of important Sentinel stuff in there. So I don't know. There's stuff I'm reading all over.
Nice.
I can't really like pinpoint where I'm gonna go next.
Well, I can. I'm gonna read Vibe.
Oh yeah, Vibe
on DC.
Yeah, those shorts
I'm gonna read Vibe,
so fun.
and I'm gonna read
Vibe.
I know. I'm going to read some amazing fantasy where they introduce Aranya, who becomes Spider-Girl. So that's on the docket for me.
Oh
for
yeah,
next week.
she was around the same time as Fred Van Lente's Scorpion remake character who was everywhere. I feel like the Spider-Girl character just disappeared from existence, where Scorpion had some time in the spotlights.
Yeah, had some legs, definitely.
All right, actually 8, right?
Yeah, Scorpions I think so, as I recall.
Yeah.
Do they?
Don't they? Aren't they like arachnids? Right. Aren't they part of the arachnid family?
That's weird. My wife just asked me that question the other day, and I was like, I don't really know, but they sure seem like it.
How many legs do Scorpions have when trying to kill 8? Yeah. Scorpions are predatory arachnids. Boom.
Okay.
Yeah, they're no joke. They scare the crap out of me. I've never even seen a scorpion like in the wild.
IRL.
I'm always terrified of them. But also I'm terrified of spiders and snakes and needles and heights.
Is that Grant Morrison Batman and Robin series any good?
No! Nothing Grant Morrison did for Batman was good, except for that one Black Glove story that was like Then There Were None. No, I hated it. That's Dick Grayson as Batman and Damian as Robin. Oh, boy. If you like Professor Pig, if you like Damian as Robin, if you like somebody given a free rein when you really should be reeling them in, you might like that Batman and Robin. I loathed it. Oh, that was a hard time. The whole Batman R.I.P. era was hell. It was hell. I hated it. It was a terrible time to want to read Batman. Terrible. Oh, thanks for bringing it back up. I'm so mad now. You've ruined my Batman day.
I didn't mean to.
What if I reminded you of the worst birthday you ever had? Like where you pooped your pants and then your teacher found out and told everybody on your birthday.
No, but I did get snowed in on my 13th birthday, and the only present I got was a shoe shining kit. That was pretty bad.
Well, the important thing is that you did live, and you grew up big and strong, didn't you, Tiny Tim? Because you're Tiny Tim in this story.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah. I get it. All right. Happy Batman Day to you.
You there, boy. What day is it?
Why, it's Batman Day,
Bruce Wayne's parents were dead. That must be understood. So...
This has been done.
Yeah,
there is a Batman Night Before
a
Christmas Carol, so it's not new. Yeah. It's nothing new.
I want to work, Bruce. I have hands that could work. Sorry. Yeah, you're stupid. This series is this is going
You're
This
so
is gold.
stupid.
This is gold.
Okay.
Well, then aren't there any poorhouses? Are there no Arkham asylums?
Wow. You're really
Yeah,
locked in
all
with this
right,
Christmas
all right.
Carol
See you
thing.
later.
Okay, bye.
Everyone!